Hola, ¿cómo estás? Welcome to another exciting video. All right, I got my little goofiness out of the way for today. Today we're going to be doing some bike maintenance. Last week I rode my bike and I noticed that both the front and rear brakes felt pretty spongy. So I don't know if it got water in the brake fluid or what. I hadn't ridden for like almost 10 months. It was, I think, about 10 months. So I don't know if condensation or something got in there or if it's just really old degraded brake fluid or what the deal is, but they didn't feel very good and they faded on me as I was using them. They got less and less confidence inspiring. So we're gonna give the old girl some love today, get the brakes bled, get some new fluid in there. There's a couple things that I do maybe a little differently than other people, I don't know, when I do my brakes, because I always have to do it alone. So I'll show you what I do, and hopefully that helps you when you have to do your brakes. Yeah, let's get to it. All right. So we'll get all of our stuff ready here. Gonna use this ridiculously gigantic Poland Springs bottle to catch all of our fluid. I know it's way bigger than we need, but it's what I have, so that's what we're gonna use. Get our hose on there. And then this is the first little thing that I like to do when I'm bleeding brakes. You can just pull the cover off, obviously, and stick the hose in like so. But if you accidentally bump it, it can spill. Probably still wouldn't spill because this bottle's so huge. But usually I'm using like a little 16-ounce water bottle, not this gigantic 3-quart one. So what I like to do is cut a little slit in here. This is my cheesy little knife that I keep in my toolbox. I'm gonna do a little bigger one for this hose. I've had this knife since I was like 12. It's not exactly a razor shop anymore. There we go. Now my slit just got too big, but whatever. You'll still get the idea. So now, force your hose in through there like that. And one, you can get it kind of like almost hanging on the hose, so it doesn't want to fall over. The hose kind of holds it up a little bit. And two, if you move your tire, it kind of pulls the bottle around with it. It doesn't like just fall over and spill brake fluid everywhere. So let's pop the reservoir off. Brake fluid is very nasty stuff when it comes to paint. Obviously on a dirt bike it's not as big of a deal, but if you're doing this on a street bike or something, I would highly recommend putting down some like paper towels or something over your gas tank, front fender, fairings, things like that, because you don't want to get brake fluid on your paint. It eats it up pretty badly. There we go. It looks like our level wasn't too bad. So I'm assuming there's either air bubbles in it or, like I said before, it's just super degraded and old. So hose in the bottle was my first little trick. This is my second little trick, because I am always doing brakes by myself. I never have anyone to hold the brake lever for me. So couple little rubber bands, try to get them nice and tight, and then pump that up. They'll hold them for you, and ew, Yeah, that fluid looks pretty disgusting. What the heck is in there? I don't know. But that's probably what my brakes feel like. Garbage. Pump that back up again. Might need to do like full-on brake rebuild this winter, but we don't have time for that right now. We want to go riding tomorrow, so we'll do a little bleed job and call it a day. If you've never bled brakes before and you don't really get what's going on, basically this is the master cylinder. You pull the lever, pushes fluid through the line into the caliper, squeezes your brakes. It's a very simple system. What you don't want to do is get air in the system. So right now we've got the reservoir pretty close to empty, and I don't want to let that get all the way down to the bottom, because if we do that, we'll get air in the system and then we'll be bleeding our brakes even longer. So you top it off, make sure the reservoir is good and full before you start pumping your brakes. Now there's pressure on the system. We come down here with our handy dandy wrench and crack it, pushes a little fluid out. Voila. And you pretty much just keep repeating this process. As you can see, the rubber bands pulled the handle back. That means it forced every bit of fluid that it had in this little chamber here through the brake line and into the system. So then you gotta release it and pump it back up a couple times to refill the piston in the master cylinder so it can push more through. And I am just gonna keep doing this over and over again. Brake fluid, even if nothing gets in it, even if you don't get any dirt in it or water or anything like that, it does still degrade over time, and it'll lose its ability to function properly. What happens is it basically will heat up and expand, and once it does that, it'll cause brake fade and a spongy feel in the lever, because once it expands, that means it can be compressed. The whole idea is that it is a fluid that shouldn't be able to be compressed. So ideally, you pull on the brake lever, every bit of force that you put into the fluid gets transferred through the caliper into the brake discs, where if your fluid is expanding, then some of the effort that you're putting into the master cylinder is going to be, rather than driven straight into the brake pads, it's going to be basically absorbed by recompressing the brake fluid. And that's what leads to brake fade and spongy feeling brakes, which is exactly the problem I have right now. All right, so we're done bleeding the front brakes now. I've run four reservoirs full of fluid through the whole system, so I'm pretty confident that whatever was in there is no longer in there. So we're gonna fill it up, and again, we're gonna go right to the top of that little line right there. Right there. Should be just about right. Let's see if we... is about perfect. These screws don't have to be crazy tight, just snug them up. And then down here, there's not really a whole lot to do. I'm just gonna pull our hose off. And you can see everything that we put through there. It's not a lot, but it was definitely gross at the beginning, so these brake systems don't hold a whole heck of a lot of fluid. Get this all cleaned up. And then always make sure this cap is on. A lot of people will run stuff without leaving this cap on, but then you just get dirt and stuff down in there, and this thing gets all dinged up, and I don't know. I just like to keep the little rubber caps on there. There we go, nice and tight. And then I always like to spray off the business end with a little brake cleaner after, just in case you got anything on the rotor or anywhere on the pads. A little bit of brake cleaner is well worth it in my opinion. All right, we're back. So apparently it's a 7mm. Funny story about these wrenches, I actually bought just a regular Cobalt wrench set, and it came with these weird little wrenches as a free gift, and I was like, whatever, never gonna use that. But look at that, I'm using them. So thank you, Cobalt, for your little free gift that I never thought I would need. Ooh, thought that one was gonna strip. That one scared me. Alrighty. The rear brakes are a lot easier because you can bleed them and pump the pedal at the same time. But basically going to be the same process. We're going to make sure this reservoir is full. Pump the brakes up, release the pressure. Do that about 7,000 more times. Wow, it looks really bad. This is what happens when you don't do maintenance on your bike like a freaking jabroni. Wow, that looks awful. Wow, stuff is like brown and disgusting. I was in a race last year, and I got a rock stuck in between, I think it was in between the frame actually. Yeah, it was right there on the brake pedal, and it was holding my brake down, and I thought my brakes were toast. And I ended up getting the rock out and finished the moto. I got like dead last, obviously, but I'm assuming that when that happened, probably boiled the heated everything up so much that it boiled the brake fluid, and really turned it into garbage. On this back reservoir, you can actually see it kind of suck the fluid up a little bit better. And the pedal comes back up. Now we're getting some nice yellow looking fluid coming out. That's a little bit better. Maybe do like 3 more reservoirs full just to be on the safe side. Shoot. Well, now I gotta do a little more because I just let it suck air up, so I wasn't paying attention. I don't know if you could hear that the last time I let the brake pedal up. It kind of made a little chirping, like weird sound, and that was the piston sucking up air. You can instantly feel it in the pedal. It was actually starting to feel really good and firm, but not anymore. That's okay. We'll just do a few more rounds. getting back to feeling halfway decent again. Do this reservoir full and probably one more, and I think we'll be good to go. Alrighty. I filled it up a little bit too much, so we're actually gonna there we go. Now we're right up to the line. It's very simple to fix, obviously. If you overfill your brakes, just do exactly what I just did. Don't do a full compression of the brake when you let off the bleed nut, but just push it like halfway down, and it'll just take it down a little bit, and just keep doing that over and over again until you get it down to the proper level. So you should be good. I'm gonna spray this off with a little brake cleaner because it looks kind of nasty before we put everything back together. These reservoir lids don't have to be crazy tight. Obviously you don't want them coming off, but you know, they're tiny little bolts and screws. You don't need to really ream on them and go crazy. There's that. Get that out of there. That hose was too big, so we leaked kind of a lot of brake fluid on everything, so we'll just kind of go to town on that a little bit. Make sure that's all gone. Clean that thing off. Perfect. That already feels a million times better.